let me talk about how the Soha Cloud solution works. And to do so, I'll start with how things look today. So classically, the way things work is we deploy an application in a data center, or this could be Amazon, or this could be Azure, any location. More often than not, we're going to have some sort of a firewall or security group in front of this application. And now let's say there's a user on the internet. Let's say this user is Robert. Robert on the internet is trying to get to that application. And that application happens to be called app.company.com. What Robert's going to do is he's going to type this in a browser. The browser is going to basically figure out the IP address that maps to this host name, and that IP address essentially lives somewhere in this area behind, at the edge of this network. Now, traffic goes all the way to the edge of this network, and what it encounters is a firewall. What firewalls are supposed to do is stop traffic, and that's what they're supposed to do. But as an industry, many years ago, we all said, you know what, it's okay to open up firewalls. Let traffic come in. So we're going to do this. So we're going to open up a port on the firewall. Let's say this could be IP address based or port based or whatever the policy happens to be. But we're going to open that for this one application. And we're going to let traffic come in. But that's a bad thing. Well, I'm not going to let traffic come into my network. So what we did, again, as an industry, is we built this thing called a perimeter. Or some people call it a DMZ, so a demilitarized zone. In the DMZ, we deploy solutions such as VPNs, application delivery controllers, proxies, authentication solutions, monitoring solution, and on and on and on and on and on. Now here's a problem with this approach. If I have one location, I have one perimeter. If I have an application in a data center, then I have another application in a virtual private cloud in Amazon, then I have another one in Azure, and so on. How many perimeters am I going to have? I'm going to have a number of perimeters. In fact, within a data center, I may end up with many, many, many application perimeters. And that is clearly one of the reasons why there's so much complexity in our industry. What we wanted to do to solve this problem when we started the company was to really reduce that complexity that is plaguing our industry and slowing things down from a productivity perspective. And what we said was, hey, what if there was a way that we could basically provide this functionality, all of these things that need to happen in an enterprise to enable secure access as a service. So just conceptually what we started with was, what if I could deliver all of this stuff as a service? And let's call this, for this conversation, a DMZ service, DMZ Cloud, which happens to provide secure access, authentication, authorization, monitoring, and many, many, many things. Such that when Robert tries to get to that application, instead of going straight to the company, he now, unbeknownst to Robert, so this is transparent to the user, goes here first. This is where we essentially stop Robert and make sure he is who he says he is. So if this is in fact not Robert or some unsanctioned user, they will stop here and they can never go anywhere else. But if indeed this is a real user, we will now allow him to get to the application. But recall that I said that in order to get into the company, I need to open up the firewall. Now, if my DMZ is outside of the company, that's a problem, right? I can't have a port open on the firewall. That's a terrible idea. So what we came up with, and this is part of the technology we have built at Soha Systems, is we allow our customers to actually close off the firewall. In fact, our customers can set deny all policy for inbound traffic. And that is a unique advantage that we provide to our customers. The fact that they don't have to open anything at the edge of the network, the fact that they don't have IP addresses sitting at the edge of the network that are scannable and so on, the attack surface that they at present are exposing to the internet is significantly reduced. Only sanctioned users who we have qualified as sanctioned users can get into the company. But still the question is, hey, this is deny all, right? You don't let anybody in. So how do people actually get in? And that, again, is part of the technology we've built. What we essentially have done is there's a component to our service called what we call a cloudlet that lives next to the application. This cloudlet is a headless entity. And what I mean by headless is that it has no UI, no CLI. Each cloudlet is cryptographically unique. When you deploy one of these things in your environment, be it a VMware stack, an OpenWare stack, in Amazon, in Azure, we support any number of environments, it basically reaches out and polls our various cloud points to see if any sanctioned user is ready to come in at this instant in time. And if the answer to that is yes, in real time, what happens is the session, the TLS session coming from the device or the browser to one of our POPs, and the session coming from the cloudlet to one of our POPs are stitched together in real time. And we give this user a path to the cloudlet, which in turn behaves as a proxy and connects you to the application. Now, if you think about that for a minute, from an end user's perspective, he gets access to the application directly. I, as an end user, I don't really care about what's in between my browser and the application. I'm going to type app.company.com. I just want to use the application. I don't care about anything else. I'm going to provide my username and password, done. But in fact, what's happening under the covers is we challenge this user for credentials. In fact, we can turn on multi-factor authentication, we can do web application firewalling, and many other things right here outside of your environment. And once we know this is a sanctioned user, he's got all the right things in place, the cloudlet is going to reach out and meet the user outside. So from a complexity point of view, if you think about it, you don't need a perimeter anymore for the complex thing that you used to deploy before. You don't need to open up your firewall anymore. You don't need virtual IP addressing anymore. You don't need VLAN segmentation anymore. All the classic things. In fact, if you have multiple application front ends, if this app indeed is multiple apps, we can provide you server load balancing as well, so you don't need to spend money on SLB anymore. So all of these things that were functions that you were spending next 6-9 months of your time cobbling together, we provide you all of these things as one nice, easy to consume service. Now, in terms of the security, right, we talked about the fact that this is a more secure solution. Consider that this user, who previously would go straight into your environment, is now terminating here. It's no longer one single TCP connection. In fact, there are 3 TCP connections, if you will. One is here, the second one is here, and the third one is here. So let's say this is a sanctioned user. They do their job, they're happy, everybody's happy, because we also do WAN optimization, so their experience is going to be better than it used to be with classic solutions. But let's say this is an unsanctioned user. What do they see? Nothing, because they stop here. They can't go forward. They can't attack your environment. In fact, they can't even see where it is. We, in effect, are providing a full surface for your application, which is actually not here, it's somewhere else. In fact, the bad guy can't even find your application on the internet. But even if somebody's credentials, a sanctioned user's credentials are lost or stolen, firstly, we have multi-factor authentication built into the product, so you can enable that as part of the service and get better security. But even, let's say, your credentials are stolen and your mobile phone is stolen. Anything is possible. What happens then? Even in that case, the exposure is a single application. The concept of horizontal escalation that is possible when you give people network access, it is not possible in this environment, because we are only giving people access to the 7th layer, essentially layer 7 access and nothing else. From all perspectives, the fact that we are reducing your attack surface, the fact that we're only giving people layer 7 access, essentially or said another way, application access and not network access, and the fact that we significantly reduce the complexity in your network, this is why this is a better solution. This is why it's entirely different from how things have worked in the past, and we absolutely believe that this is the right way to solve the problem going forward for our industry.